much. And let's start with the, please just come here, sir. Let us start with the scenery that we can see behind me right now. These are the End Bad Governors movements representing the Lagos arm, if I can take it that way. And they are here. You know, I can start from the placards they are raising up there, from sack the IGP now for unlawful detention of minors, to free all protesters now, to free Abdaramoye, Michael Lenin, and 10 others, and many other inscriptions that are stated on these placards that are carried here. We are currently at Ikedown Bridge, as I've mentioned, and if you just look to my right-hand side there, I'm seeing a handful of police officers in their riot gear, which is you know, a little bit cause for concern, because naturally when we see this kind of convergence around this area, even if it's a protest, we don't see them in their riot gear. They just come in their normal uniform which they use to move around. But now we can see them, they're in their riot gear, and we can see a handful of them also tactically positioned at various areas here. What is happening here is already generating a lot of tension, and if you can see behind me here, a lot of onlookers, people are waiting to see what will happen. But I'll let one of the organizers of the protest to actually speak, and let's talk about the demand. So wait up. I understand from what I can hear, one of the reasons why you're going for this protest, or this rally as you put it, is calling for the release of all the remaining protesters. But I can remember vividly that these protesters were arrested during the first protest, and now you are protesting for the release of the remaining protesters. Help me make it sense. Help me make sense of this.
Well, it doesn't make any sense, really. But it's the situation we have found ourselves in this country, that under a so-called democracy, the right to protest, the right to freedom of lawful assembly is not being respected. Rather, peaceful protest is now being equated with treason. And that is why, you know, we have what we have today, whereby we are protesting for the release of protesters who have been tried for protesting. It's very sad. And I think that, you know, it's why all the Nigerian people, as well as friends of Nigeria, you know, must actually stand with us at this moment. What we are here today to say is that no one deserves a death sentence for peacefully protesting. Today is 8th November 2024. 2 days after now will be November 10, which will be the anniversary, you know, of the killing of Ken Saro-Wiwa and the 9 Ogolin leaders in 1995 by the Abacha dictatorship. For what? For protesting for environmental justice. So it means that after nearly 3 decades of Nigeria's democracy, we have turned full circle into a dictatorship, whereby protester now faces the prospect of a death penalty today. Today is a rally to call on President Inubo to stop this sham trial. And we think that it is not impossible to do this, because a precedent has been laid. Just 2 days ago, more than 14 protesters, including children, had charges against them dropped. And the charges against them are the same charges against the people who are standing trial today. Those standing trial today are 11. Adaraboye Michael Lenin, Mosio Sodiq, Innocent Ejelof, Daniel Akonde, Opeoluwa, and others. Apart from them, hundreds are still in prison detention. There are 19 protesters, for instance, who are also in jail in Maduguri. They were arraigned on Monday, November 4. Among them are 3 children aged 14 to 17. So what we are here to say is that President Inubo has not yet done enough by releasing those 114. All the remaining protesters in detention and on trial also deserve the same repeat. Charges against them should be dropped, and they should be allowed to go home free. They do not deserve a death sentence for protesting against hunger and action. Let me
just quickly ask this. Do you align with the school of thought of people saying President Inubo wouldn't have even released those minors if not that he was trying to play safe in terms of child rights law and every other thing? Do you think it's a win for the NBAC governors protesters to get those kids out of there?
Do I think it's a what?
A win.
Yeah, it is a win because without the outcry by us, by society organizations, by the Nigerian public, by the friends of Nigeria and the diaspora, President Inubo will not have ordered the release of those protesters. So it's a win for us. Something which also shows that this government can actually be defeated. This government can be made to see reason when it faces a determined opposition. Because the government was seriously embarrassed across the world. And that is why we are also saying today that the government does not have to wait for another embarrassment. And it will be an embarrassment to sentence these people to death.
Sorry, I'm trying to rush you. I just wanted us to have it on time so that we can get what this document you have in your hands is for. Let's quickly talk about the charges here. Because if it's easy, as you said in your press briefing a few days ago, if it's easy to waive the charges for the minors, then it should be easy to waive the charges for the adults as well. Let's talk about the charges themselves. What do you think of those charges?
They are trumped up charges. And how you know they are trumped up charges is on the proof of evidence. The protesters who are trying to trial this morning have a 6-count charge leveled against them, bordering on treason, intent to levy war against Nigeria, mutiny, as well as other charges in similar manner. But if you look at the proof of evidence against them, I can read it out. The proof of evidence are: 1, their statements, which was written at the IRT, placards and books. Then, one thing that was interesting about the proof of evidence was that they carried placards with the signal "End Bad Government." Those are the exhibits that the Nigerian police is taking to court this month to prove the case of mutiny, intent to levy war against Nigeria, and treason against these protesters. They did not find any gun with them. They did not even find any Russian flag with this backup.
I was waiting for you to mention the Russian flag because you mentioned in your press briefing that there was a reason because he's bearing Lenin, one of the protesters.
The only reason one of the protesters, for instance, was arrested was because he bears the nickname Lenin. His name is Adaramoye Michael. But in the pattern of the tradition of the student movement, everybody bears the name of revolutionaries they love. And he decided to bear the nickname Lenin, which belongs to the Russian revolutionary who led the revolution in Russia in 1917, Vladimir Ilyich Lenin. That is why Adaramoye is standing trial today. Because you can remember that one of the people who have been charged with them, who is actually, who was not arrested, the British national, Andrew Wen, the police decided to tweak his name to sound Russian in order to sustain that agenda that is a Russian plot. So that is why we are saying that there's no substance of truth, no grain of truth. And the judiciary, the chief judge of the Federation, should not allow the police to continue to waste his time on the court on this matter. Should not allow the police to continue to desecrate the court with this matter. They should be discharged and acquitted. That is what we want.
Okay, finally, I understand you have a document here, and I was overhearing you mention that this document will be submitted to a particular office. Put me through that, and let's understand where, because I heard you say Chief Judge, and I want to ask, is it because you feel that the AGF interceded in the particular case of the minor at the federal level, that's why you're finding it appropriate to take this document to just let us know where to from here?
Yes, we are taking it to the Chief Judge for our transition to the Chief Justice of Nigeria. Because we think that the Chief Justice of Nigeria has a responsibility to ensure that civil rule, is sustained in this country. And that the judiciary does not become a pliant tool in the hands of the executive to continue to attack democratic rights. So that's why we are taking this document to the CJ, Chief Justice, with the hope that this will be transferred to the Chief Justice. And at that level, efforts will be made to ensure that the protesters are pardoned. A copy of this letter will also be transmitted to the Attorney General of the Federation, as well as relevant officials of government. But we think that it is important to march to the Chief Justice of Lagos State to demonstrate our interest in seeing the judiciary being saved from further desecration. We are also going to have lawyers joining us on this march who are also going to demonstrate their own aversion to the way the court is being used by the executive over the past few days to erode democratic life. But it's unheard of that a court would subject children to the kind of trial we saw last Friday. It's also unheard of, and it should be unheard of, that a court in Nigeria, after 24 years of democracy, will entertain a case of treason against peaceful protesters. We want judges to also demonstrate the courage to say no to the dictatorship or any dictatorial tendencies of the executive. That is the only way civil rule can be sustained in this country.
I'm so tempted to ask this final one, and just help me answer it in summary. If you don't get a response to this document right now that is tagged passionate appeal for urgent intervention to save the lives of peaceful protesters in detention and on trial for treason, if you don't get a reply, what deadline do you have for the government, and what will be your next line of action?
Well, we are going to discuss it, but what is going to happen is that this campaign will be taken to a global level. Already, today, there will be similar actions at the Nigeria High Commission in London by 5:30, as well as similar actions at the Nigerian Embassy in Berlin, Germany. So that if nothing happens after today, the President Inubo would actually, should expect a further embarrassment on the global stage. Because it means that we are going to take this campaign internationally, and it will mean that any Nigerian official anywhere in the world, would be met with protests by Nigerians in diaspora, as well as our friends in the several trade union and student movements across the world, who are very passionately interested in what is happening in Nigeria today.
You've heard it from one of the organizers, Soweto. The key word here is embarrassment. With the protest, they are trying to embarrass the government so much that they'll be able to make a move, or they will make a move, and release all protesters in detention. As you've heard him, today also coincides with the trial of 11 other protesters who were arrested during the End Bad Governance protest between August 1 and August 10.
Thanks very much to Nee for covering the protest there in Ikeja, and I'm sure that it would go on for the rest of today. We hope that it remains peaceful and their voices are heard. They do have legitimate reasons to be protesting.